Hey, welcome to this episode of Happy Today podcast. Today's topic is that it's not about agreements. So, in the early episode, we were talking with Sami that what are the difference between SLAs and XLAs. But Sami, what is really the difference between XLA and experience management?
So I would say the XLAs still are focusing on the agreement. So what you agree to do, and yes, important. But experience management is more like way of working.
Yeah.
So how you do things, how you focus on the change, how you focus on the experience of end users, the value of your services. And I think that's definitely a big difference. Okay, yes, you can have both. So you can have an agreement focus on experiences and the value of the services, but still the way of working and the way of thinking with the people is more valuable. Or that's way how you get really things done.
Yeah, I think it's still like the experience management is the one that changes the culture, changes the way of working.
Yeah.
And actually it's maybe the practical part of our practical guide to XLAs.
And it's agreements are needed to make sure something doesn't go wrong.
Yeah.
It's for controlling purposes. And when focusing on something positive and developing, if that is really the core of what you do, that you focus on the agreement and delivering what the agreement says, kind of that feels like, and you have that for 5 years or something, it just kills the development rather than motivates people to really try things. Yes, you have to have targets, but kind of the agreement word is a bit negative because that's the minimum level always that you have in agreements. And that's not, so I hope that some companies will find a way how to really describe the XLAs even in the agreements as a way of working.
Yeah.
So what you really agree is that you have these things you do, and then it starts to be experience management and XLAs start to be really the same thing. But
yeah, because sometimes agreements, like we were discussing in another podcast, that like when COVID hit, people go to remote working. If the agreements would have been you couldn't change the agreement, then probably people couldn't have laptops at their house and they couldn't take the office chairs to their home and things like that.
Yeah.
But now when people saw that actually just making sure that people have great experiences is much more important than following these agreements.
Exactly.
But I agree that agreements have their place. But then what does experience management look like? What does it really mean?
So we are dividing that to 4 different areas. So to be able to do experience management, you first have to understand the end users. So measure them, measure how they feel about your services and really start to gather that experience data.
Yeah.
You can do that, of course, with different tools and different ways, and you should do it in different ways. So also always have this kind of one-to-one discussions with the end users to get more depth information. But measure is the first one. Then sharing. Because we talked in the earlier episode about that SLAs are fact-based.
Yeah.
This is feeling-based. But if you don't even share that feeling-based information to all people who could influence it, the results and help end users to be more happy, then you are, I would say, directly only having that because you want to reach certain target because of the agreement.
Yeah.
So the first step after gathering the data is to make sure that everybody who could use the data or who you think should be using it, you should be making sure they will continuously follow up what are the scores. But I think the core of experience management still is the identifying. So identifying those areas what you could do better. So again, not satisfied with that one score that yes, we are in high level and nothing needs to be done. Always there is areas that you should be doing better. So finding from all the services you are delivering, those ones, per one portal, for example, that let's focus on these things now, but that is our problem. So end users are not happy for our chatbot.
Yeah.
Or they are not happy with certain application.
Or the way we communicate.
Yeah, or we don't understand, our kind of agents are not understanding Salesforce, so they cannot help the end users in that area, or whatever is your problem. But you select your fights and you really kind of start with one thing, okay, now we have a problem. And for me, I'm very often quite worried when people start to talk about innovation in a way that we have this innovation process and we are gathering ideas from everywhere. For what?
Yeah.
Real innovation is that now when you recognize the problem area, you really use your brain power to solve that in a way that it ends up in a better benefit.
Yeah.
So,
and especially today when everything gets so agile and we do so many things and we are firefighting all the time, I think that's really the practical thing for service owner, IT directors, to actually being able to now using experience management to focus on one thing, make that, improve that one, show the value, then take the next one, again show the value, like where are you focusing your budget and your resources when you cannot do everything that happens all the time.
Yeah. And the kind of the very, very lovely thing in the experience management or understanding end users is that the thing what you are managing can be merge.
Yeah.
It can be that you changed your services provider, or it can be one change in your continuous service improvement process.
Yeah.
So all these should have an influence, and they're all influencing the same thing, end user experience. So you have to understand the end user experience from very different aspects and really start to understand what is making the end users happier.
Yeah.
And then you start to have kind of a good flow there, because then the last part in how we see experience management is the improved part. And of course, this goes around measure, share, identify, improve.
Yeah, and at that point when you improve, then I think you also need to set the target level again. So maybe you improved like now some channels, so you made your self-service portal better. So it's not like now we are done. Now we just put the target on that one a little bit higher. Maybe it was different than it was with the chatbot. We started with chatbot, we are learning, so we start from somewhere, we try to make incremental improvements and make it better all the time.
Yeah, and the thing that quite often is forgotten, I think Asa Munksjö talked about this in the webinar that we had with them, that what is really great thing about experience management is that it really starts to be more motivating for the IT staff as well.
True.
So when you're having a small or big project changes or real big projects, then the team knows why they are doing that and what is their value, what is the purpose of that project. And that really changes. It's not to close ticket, it's not to that and that, it is to help the end users to get more motivated. And that really started to be like, I did that.
Yeah.
And that's a thing that quite often is forgotten when you think about we are focusing on the end user. In fact, you can think about from the IT, if you are running IT teams, you are really helping to run your own team with a better motivation. And this at the time of COVID. Now, when everybody's working from home, if they know that this is the purpose what I'm doing this, you have a much more motivated team.
Everybody can get the focus that, okay, this is why I'm waking up now, go to my workroom or kitchen table and start working on improving this stuff.
And then at work at home now, you are not always getting tasks from your manager like on the detailed level. Yeah. But you still are able to work in an efficient way because now you know why we are doing, you do the small decisions on your own much easier. Yeah. Again, much more motivating for the employee because he now knows that, hey, I can do this. Yeah. And that's so.
But I think that probably gives the summary of what is the difference between XLA and experience management. And if you want to learn more, you can go to our website, read our practical guide to XLAs. And thank you for this episode. As we say in Happy Today, stay happy and stay safe.